So the president of CNN, Jeff Zucker, has been fired. Don't believe the lie that he resigned. When your employer tells you that you have to submit your resignation or else you're fired, you're fired. This after it was discovered that he had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a CNN employee, a subordinate of his, a woman named Allison Gullist. And the most surprising thing about this whole story is that the inappropriate relationship wasn't with Brian Stelter. At least that he has admitted to. Megyn Kelly says that there is another shoe to drop, however.
There will be more shoes to drop, mark my words. But the biggest takeaway for me today is months.
Wait, hold on. Megyn Kelly, don't drop that bomb without following that up. What do you mean there's more issues to drop from CNN? What do you got?
There's nothing I can report to you now, but mark my words, there are more shoes to drop.
Here's the network's senior media analyst breaking the news on Wednesday.
Joining me now is CNN chief media correspondent, host of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter. Brian, what more do you have?
As you said, Kate, Zucker's been a larger-than-life figure at this news organization for nearly a decade, a pioneering figure, and now his resignation is stunning this newsroom and the news industry.
Yeah, it's stunning everyone at CNN, all right. They're stunned that Jeff Zucker's affairs didn't make headlines years ago. Little Brian doth protest too much, methinks, because everybody at CNN, everybody in the news industry knew about this. Katie Couric even wrote about Jeff Zucker and Allison Gullist's affair in her memoir, which came out last year. But that's not why he got fired. That's just an excuse, because he's the man who drove CNN's ratings into the ground, costing them 80% of their total viewers over the last year alone. He's the man who completely ruined the CNN brand and turned what was once a semi-respectable cable news network into an utter laughingstock. They're the National Enquirer of cable news. While it's utterly hilarious that CNN is completely collapsing, this thing is going in a direction that I'm not very happy about. There are now calls within CNN to fire Brian Stelter because he knew about Jeff Zucker's affair. Rumor has it there were multiple affairs, and not only didn't report on it, but didn't say anything about it internally because he was covering up for his boss. I will boycott CNN if they fire Brian Stelter. I will travel to New York and I will protest outside their headquarters every day until they hire him back, because he provides America with far too much comedic material for them to do that to us. Since they allowed Jeffrey Toobin to keep his job, and you know what he did on a Zoom call, right? Then Brian Stelter deserves to keep his. Those two have a lot in common after all.
Some of our viewers may not know what has happened. So you were on a Zoom call with your colleagues from the New Yorker magazine, during which time you were caught masturbating on camera. Do I have all that right?
You got it all right, sad to say.
But hey, I can relate. This was me live on CNN with just 2 minutes notice, talking with Wolf Blitzer about Trump's Twitter account being banned.
Speaking of people getting canceled, however, ABC suspended Whoopi Goldberg from hosting The View for 2 weeks after her insensitive comments about the Holocaust. If she was white, of course, she would have been canceled within hours, but she has black privilege, so it's just a 2-week suspension for her. Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the Jewish ADL, says that she shouldn't be fired, and she's apologized, and everything's just fine, and her co-hosts are upset that she got suspended at all, and MSNBC is even saying that cancel culture is out of control.
This is something that is just going to start getting ridiculous. I mean, if Whoopi Goldberg is canceled, that would be the end of this all. This cancel culture is getting so out of hand.
Liberals denouncing cancel culture. What a time to be alive. But it is nice to give them a taste of their own medicine. I doubt that she'll actually get fired, however, because of her black privilege, like I said. Remember when Nick Cannon got fired from MTV after he made some anti-Semitic remarks? Well, then he was quietly hired back just a few months later. After all, you can't fire a black person during Black History Month. That's racist. Speaking of racism, last week a screenshot from the ADL's website went viral, showing their Orwellian definition of the word, which they said was defined as the marginalization and or oppression of people of color based on a socially constructed racial hierarchy that privileges white people. They got so much heat for that, surprisingly from some fairly brand-name conservative outlets, that they updated the definition to an interim definition. So they're working on it. They're going to revise it again once they can figure out how to still depict it as a one-way street. Sadly, however, no brand-name conservatives are using the word anti-whiteism, which accurately describes what's going on. Instead, they're still using the term critical race theory, which only obfuscates what's actually happening. Calling anti-whiteism racism is only playing into their semantical tricks. You've heard of anti-Semitism, now you've heard of anti-whiteism. Start calling it out when you see it. Anti-whiteism like this.
Some more news, the results of the 2020 census just came out, and for the first time in American history, the number of white people went down. Interesting reaction to that. I didn't want cheers or boos. I just wanted to... Interesting. That's all I was.
Even Jimmy Fallon is like, whoa! Yeah, Jimmy, that's what happens when systemic anti-whiteism is perpetuated endlessly in the media, in Silicon Valley, in sports, in academia, in schools. Then white people are blamed for all the problems in the world, in the communities, and the personal lives of black people. Another word that everyone is sadly familiar with is liberalism, which someday, hopefully, we'll find a cure for. And if you want to help support the cause and get yourself an awesome t-shirt, head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and get yourself a Liberalism Find a Cure shirt or my new Science Proves Democrats Are Brain Dead shirt. All available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.